Hey, good Tuesday evening, everyone. Welcome to our Tuesday night edition of the Illinois Freedom Caucus Roundtable, as I'm joined here with the chairman of the Freedom Caucus, Chris Miller, and members, Representative Leader David Freese and Representative Leader Adam Niemerg, along with our esteemed State Director, Colin Mosley. Welcome, gentlemen, to tonight's Roundtable as we kind of discuss what happened in the opening week of spring session last week, and some potential moves on changing the primary election date for 2008 and some other things. So with that, welcome to tonight's event, gentlemen.
Good evening, everybody.
Yes. So Director Mosley, let's get right into it, Director Mosley, with the first slide. All right. So again, we're going to recap the first week of session and then talk about the primary. And with that, the next slide, please. So the first week of session was lackluster at best, and you can see here we have more bullet points than things got done. With that, I'm going to just go right to the chairman of the Freedom Caucus, Leader Chairman Miller. What's your thoughts on last week?
Well, one thing that we could do is that we could have a blank screen when it comes to talking about the issues that happened in Springfield last week, because there were zero legislative business that was conducted. One thing that we did discover is that Democrats have a severe case of Trump derangement syndrome, and almost every worthless resolution that they had was only for a soundbite or a press release that they can go back to their districts and let all of their constituents know how much they hate Donald Trump. And we avoided a near catastrophe because there were sources that were talking about that Speaker Welch was on his way to the hospital because he broke his arm patting himself on the back, letting everybody know how wonderful he was, as the Democrats and J.B. Pritzker regime continue to destroy the middle class and destroy the economy in the state of Illinois.
Exactly. Well, let's talk about the resolutions that were on Wednesday afternoon. Leader Niemerg, I think there was 5 different resolutions. There was one about condemning law enforcement efforts on immigration. You spoke quite passionately, I believe, about that. What went down on that?
Well, first I have to thank all my friends in the Freedom Caucus for giving me, that courage to help speak that way on the House floor. You guys really help a lot. So yeah, we had tariffs, Greenland, ICE, health insurance, and then Speaker Welch ran a resolution basically saying he's doing a great job, which was kind of absolutely ridiculous. But yeah, as Chris said, it's Trump derangement syndrome in the Illinois House of Representatives, and they would rather side with criminal illegal aliens than with the hardworking folks that are trying to restore safety and security to our state and to Minnesota. And they would rather, prioritize that. It's $3.4 billion spent on illegal immigration, $1.2 million goes directly through an NGO to these protesters' pockets to impede federal law enforcement. And you look at places like Florida, they're not having these problems. Those folks are apprehending those rapists, those murderers, those felons. But, these radical leftists that like to, pick up a flash little bomb, you saw that yesterday. They'd rather pick those up. They're so stupid, blowing their own hands off. It's just absolutely ridiculous. So yeah, Trump derangement syndrome was on full display there. Also, Obama had more deportations than Trump. And Obama gave Tom Homan an award, but nobody wants to talk about that.
Exactly. Leader Freese, you sit closest to the podium of any of us on this roundtable here this evening. Thursday morning, Speaker Welch brought out a 5-year memorial, I guess, or honorarium of his service to the state of Illinois. Boy, he only got 66 affirmative votes on that. What's your thoughts about that, or any of the resolutions or anything else we saw or didn't see last week?
Well, the one that really struck me was it's Resolution 624, and they were bashing Trump about Maduro and Venezuela and Trump's position on Greenland. And then the representative that ran that resolution talked about it, said that Trump's efforts to acquire territories and titles overseas while leaving working families at home to pay the bills. And then she said that we need to prioritize the needs of Americans, but yet these are the same people that, when you talk about Americans, also lump in people that jumped across the border illegally in that group. I agree with her. We do need to worry about Americans and Illinois residents, not illegals. That's where our focus needs to be. And we really need to get these guys on board with supporting law enforcement to get these guys out of our country.
Yeah, exactly. Colin, you may want to weigh in on kind of the after hours activity and the cost of the taxpayers. I mean, tens of thousands of dollars in per diems and travel expenses. And then I would guess that there was probably more activity after hours offsite for political meetings of both parties than there was things that happened on the House floor. I mean, we really were only on the House floor for just a few hours over those period of 3 days.
Well, that is the story. Is the only reason why people were kept in Springfield and given an extra day of per diem payments, which, by the way, is an extra $18,000 a day across the entire Illinois House, is because they wanted to have a party Wednesday night to talk politics, and then give a hand clap for their speaker on Thursday, and everybody goes home. I mean, they were in session for a half hour on Thursday, and all of that was just resolutions to pat themselves on the back. So, it is extremely frustrating because all the business that was conducted this entire week could have been done on Tuesday, and you guys could have went home. And instead, we had 2 extra days of per diem payments.
We didn't need to be there at all. All it was Trump derangement syndrome and Pro Welch. We did nothing.
Yeah, no, Adam, you nailed it. We didn't have to be there for any of this crap.
Right. No committee meetings were scheduled. None of the important things got done, which the good news is, I mean, there was no bad legislation passed, but then there was nothing good got passed either. So, and again,
and if you watch the video on Thursday, heck, I mean, there was 13 Democrats absent before the day even started on Thursday. Right. They knew they weren't doing anything.
Right. Yep. Exactly. Well, and then last week we rolled out our priorities. Let's go into the priorities of the Illinois Freedom Caucus as we talk about cost of living and energy. The list goes on and on here. I'm just going to kind of throw it open. If anybody wants to touch on one or two of these subjects, and we'll just go around the room and somebody kind of highlight what they think is important to them and kind of what maybe how we're going to move an agenda forward this spring.
I think, especially with the deep freeze that we're in now, energy. Mm-hmm. Oh my gosh, we really need to get on the ball on this. I live 10 miles from a coal power plant. Baldwin Power Plant, Lively Grove's, another 10 minutes away. It's go look at MISO, and I think people on this call have pointed that out. Look at MISO. Look where our energy is coming from: coal, natural gas, solar, and wind don't cut it. We need to stop putting money into this fantasy is what is the best way to put it.
Right.
I think that's an excellent point you have, Dave. This whole energy thing is built on a green fantasy, and really it's an alternative source of energy because it's far from green when you start dumping 60 to 70 semi-loads of concrete in Mother Earth's womb and destroying the bird population. It's like a bird graveyard below these windmills, but only stupid people expect wind and solar to fuel the energy needs of the state of Illinois, let alone the rest of the USA. But I think one of the real drivers for the misery index here in Illinois is the cost of living, and Biden's Inflation Reduction Act that infused trillions of dollars into the economy. Every critically thinking economist will tell you when the velocity of money injected into a system is going to cause massive inflation. And I mean, every bill that we pay has doubled and tripled under the Pritzker, Biden, Harris regime. And it's going to take some time to unwind all this crap that they pass. That's absolutely destroying the middle class and destroying the economy.
Yeah, I think it also boils down to regulations. We have a very high regulatory industry here in the state of Illinois. It comes down to energy, insurance, business taxes, corporate income taxes, personal income taxes, just everything that we have in this state that just drives the cost of living through the roof. And right now, energy is a very big issue, like David and Chris said, because it's a situation where we're cold right now. We need the energy. And I hear folks sometimes, whenever we're in committees or just out and about, they'll say, well, we need to have coal and natural gas, and we're not against wind and solar. It's just not ready there yet. We just need to, a couple more years. We need to get kind of like saying that it's okay. No, I'm with Trump. It's never gonna get there. It's never gonna meet our energy needs. It's never gonna do what it needs to do. It is a green news scam, and it needs to be eliminated. And yet you, the taxpayers, are paying for it. So you got to ask yourself a question. If it needs to be subsidized by the government, then in order for it to succeed, which it's not succeeding anyway with subsidization from the government, you need to ask yourself if it's practical and if we need to do it or not.
Right. Director Call.
Those cost of living, I think we need to throw in workers' compensation and unemployment insurance. I say that every time I get in front of somebody. That drives up the cost of business, which drives up the cost for everybody. I don't care what you're doing. You're buying products or services in this state. That's a tax on whatever you're purchasing.
Right.
Yeah, and I have a border district, so I've got folks that can call somebody, an HVAC contractor in Vincennes, to come over, or somebody to come over for Terre Haute, and they can get that job put in a new geothermal or whatever it may be, furnace, gas, whatever. They can do that for a lot cheaper than the guys that I have in my district because of the regulatory issues with workers' comp and all of that you just laid out, David.
Yeah, no, I have the same issue in my district. And I got contractors say I can't compete with the guys across the river in Missouri because of those issues.
Right. And there's an interesting statistic about that. Isn't it like nearly half of Illinoisans live within 30 or 45 minutes of a border? I mean, this is a real thing that doesn't just affect the eastern side or the western side. It's the entire state.
Right.
And they're the ones saying, we want to leave. We're voting 80-20 to get out of Illinois.
Right. Exactly. I had another, it seems like I'm sure we all have these conversations every week, but I had another conversation just an hour ago with a friend who says, man, Chattanooga, Tennessee is looking better and better every day. I could save $23,000. He figured it up. Same home, same job. I could save $23,000 a year for my family to move to Chattanooga. Right. So, for most people, it's a no-brainer, and that's going to keep happening.
Right. Yeah. Well, just after this weekend, though, you need an ice scraper to live down in some of those southern, south central states. But that's the subject for another day. You have to have a snowplow to live in central Illinois after this last weekend. But
and a backup generator.
Yeah. Well, we kept the lights on here. So, hey, I'm sure we can talk about those subjects and many more. But let's go into the next slide. The Democrats are up to their shenanigans again. They want to move the primary up. Instead of the mid-March date, they want to move it into potentially a February date to be kind of first in the nation or as early as possible in the nation. They did this back in 2008 for Barack Obama. Gentlemen, this is just kind of riddled with problems. We have a lot of our election judges and others that winter outside the state of Illinois. It's tough for them to get back for a March primary sometimes. And when that's just the nature of the territory in Illinois, we just have a lot of our people winter outside the state that are election judges. And the other thing is our winter weather. We just talked about that. The winter weather that we experience in January and February is typically really unpredictable and can be really tough. So to be able to have this mid-February or a February primary could be really problematic. And I know they said, well, just vote by mail, which is what they want anyway. But then we see the revelations that's coming out of the post office about the postmark situation. So this is just a real problem. I'm just going to throw it open. Anybody want to comment on this primary date thing?
Is anybody really surprised? JB's been running for president for at least 2 years, maybe 3, depending on how you look at it. So it doesn't surprise me at all. It's just, the things that we deal with on the House floor. If they can't comply with the rules, they just suspend the rules or change the rules. So here we go again.
Yeah, it's really amazing how they legislate their political power, right? And it's interesting because they'll change the rules in any way, shape, or form, and things you think that would violate the Constitution. Well, first off, the Illinois State Constitution, those judges get a lot of money from J.B. Pritzker, so who knows? They're probably not going to rule in favor of the Constitution. But yeah, we're looking at a February primary day, and all of us on this call have spent our entire political careers fighting against Governor J.B. Pritzker and him running for president. I'm wondering, the most woke governor in the country. Okay, I have the highest combination of state and local taxes. I have the Safety Act, which allows violent people back out on the street. I have all this illegal immigration issue in the state of Illinois. I have the biggest budget. It's gone up 51% since my tenure. Plus, I want girls to have boys in their locker rooms, and I want boys to compete in women's sports. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. How do you sit there with a straight face and run an election based on that? I don't understand it.
Yeah. Well, maybe in a general election, he might move more to the center. Then he might become more centrist in a general election once he gets through his primary.
It's our job to remind that. We have to remind everybody, and everybody listening needs to remind everybody of who this guy really is if he tries to pull that.
Yeah.
So the thing this brings up for me is we just talked about how much of a waste the session week was last week, and how desperate people are for relief from energy prices, from taxes, from crime. And the Democrats are already 2 years ahead. Their eyes are fixed on the 2028 election. It's like they don't even care about what people need right now. They're more interested in getting their billionaire bully prized horse, to the primary in 2028. It's just really, I think, a clear picture of where their priorities are at. It's not for relief for the people right now. It's about the White House.
Well, Colin, you talk about that, and it makes me wonder down the road, what is the Democrat Party going to look like once J.B. Pritzker is not governor of the state of Illinois anymore, and after, especially, he loses, and who knows, he could lose in the primary against another Democrat. There's a lot more moderate Democrats out there that could beat him in a primary, but they'll lose their $1 billion push. I mean, that man is personally financed the Democrats for the last 6 years completely by himself, essentially, with some special interest groups. But he's really the one that's at the head of all of this. So things could change in a couple of years once he's gone. Hopefully he's gone this next year, but things could definitely change.
Right, exactly.
That's right.
I mean, think about how much excitement they're going to generate with the top three, the three stooges, Kamala, Gavin Newsom, and J.B. Pritzker. I mean, what could possibly go wrong there with those three clowns?
It's going to be entertaining.
That is the who's who of the land of misfit toys right there. I got to believe.
Right, I would think so.
Yeah, that's the last three picks for the dodgeball team in PE for sure.
Right, exactly.
You never know. Somebody like Andy Bashar could come out of Kentucky. He has won Kentucky consistently as a Democrat when they hold 75% of all caucuses down there that Republicans do. So got to be careful with somebody like that.
Right.
That's the kind of person we need to be worried about. We need to be worried about somebody like that, not a Gavin Newsom or a J.B. Pritzker.
Right. All right, gentlemen, unless there's anything else, Colin, you got the last closing slide here, closing two slides. You got an event coming up. This is going to be a sold out event. It's a ticket in advance, or is it right? No tickets at the door. You got to make your purchase for a seat early before next week. So we're running out of time here.
Yeah. We'd really like it if you'd have your tickets purchased or your order in by February 2nd. All the tables are sold, folks, but we will get you in if we have to. If we need to squeeze you in, we'll squeeze you in. We're not going to turn anybody away before February 2nd.
Yep.
So get online, buy a ticket, find some friends to sit with. We're going to have a great night. You're going to be in a room of 175, 200 patriots to celebrate freedom and have some cool opportunities as well.
Right. So important date, February 2nd is the cutoff. Tables are all sold, but we will get you a seat. Just call one of us, call Colin, and we'll make sure that if you want to be there, but we got to do it before February 2nd, let us know, and we'll try to make those accommodations. Colin, anything else on the event, or we'll go to the closing slide?
I'd like to add. Yeah, I'd like to add something on that event. Folks, I just want to say thank you for everybody that's bought a table, that's going to show up. It really means a lot because we're a grassroots organization, and having the help financially that you're willing to give to us, every dollar that we earn or is donated, to us, we are stewards of your finances like you would not believe. We really care. We really make every penny count. So thank you.
Yeah, great points.
Chris?
No, we're going to have a great time. And this is going to be the highlight of the winter season here in East Central Illinois. And I promise you will not be disappointed. There'll be inspiring speeches. We might let even Leader Holbrook have the microphone for a little bit. No, but it's going to be awesome. And again, I want to echo what Adam said. Thank you for your support. We appreciate it, and we will use your every dollar wisely to fire the frauds.
Exactly. All right, there we go. Colin, close us out.
Well, folks, this is where you can find us as always, illinoisfreedomcaucus.org. Read our Substack, especially being in full swing here in session, and we'll update you every week if we can on what's going on or what's not going on.
Right.
So please follow us there.
Right. Well, we don't expect a lot to go on between now and the primary. We're only scheduled, I think, 6 more days in February. I'm not sure if we got any dates in March until after the primary, but I know there's only 6 days in February. One of those is the governor's budget speech on Wednesday, February the 18th. So that will be a thrill a minute, I'm sure. And we'll give you play-by-play as best we can there. All right, gentlemen, with that, I think we'll just close out for the evening. And we just ask each one of you that are viewing us this evening or in the future to like, share, comment, follow, subscribe to our different channels to help us overcome the algorithmic gods of the big tech overlords. Wow, I got that out. Thank you all. And with that, let's say goodnight.